Admiral X. Don't be too quick to think that Admiral X is X-Drake's grandfather or some distant relative. No, I only named him that because literally nothing is known about him. No name, no face, no devil fruit he might have had. All we know is that he was killed by none other than Davy D. Zebek himself. That's right, the pirate from the previous era, the captain of a whole gang of monsters under whose flag Kaido, Big Mom, Whitebeard, and many other dangerous pirates once sailed. Admiral X is a phantom in One Piece history. His name is never mentioned, and his death was just a footnote in the insane biography of Rocks. And here's what's important. As soon as Oda, whether in the manga, in the future, or in some hidden SBS materials, reveals information about this man, I will redo this video, and I'll name it the same, but add updated at the end. Lately, YouTube has been updating its algorithms and throttling small creators, so please hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll continue our video by moving on to the next admiral. Kong. Yes, you might say, who is Kong? He's not even an admiral. He's above them and the fleet admiral and is the commander-in-chief. But I'll say that to become the commander-in-chief and above the admirals, he must have once been an admiral and then promoted from an admiral to a fleet admiral and become commander-in-chief. After all, it's impossible to become a vice admiral and be promoted to commander-in-chief of headquarters. And my suspicions were confirmed in chapter 1157, when we were shown Garp, Sengoku, and Tsuru when all three were vice admirals, and then we are shown that Kong was indeed an admiral. It even says Admiral Kong, with future commander-in-chief written below. We don't know what his merits were when he was an admiral, but he was also the fleet admiral during the God Valley incident 38 years ago, the Battle of Ed War when Shiki the Lion fought against Roger's pirates 27 years ago, and Roger's execution 24 years ago. Kong is an aged, muscular man. He has a scar with stitches under his left eye, he wears a brown short-sleeved shirt decorated with medals, a scarf around his neck, and a cloak draped over his shoulders. When he was the fleet admiral, he only commanded the Marines. Now, as commander-in-chief of headquarters, he has authority over all the government organizations besides the Marines, agents, the Warlords of the Sea, and all of Cypherpole. According to the world government hierarchy, he is the second only to the 5 elders. This is my theory, and I believe he is Garp's brother or some relative and carries the Monkey D family name, just like Garp, Luffy, and Dragon. You judge for yourselves. Monkey D. Kong, what do you think about that? I'd say it sounds and fits, but it's just my theory and I'm not sure about it. We don't know him as well as the other admirals and have never seen him in action. He might have a devil fruit, or he could just be a hockey user like Garp. Sengoku. He is the echo of a fading era, a living reminder of a time when the balance of power rested on the shoulders of a few giants. His career is a series of ascensions, from a humble vice admiral to the highest rank in the hierarchy, fleet admiral. His story is inextricably linked with the most famous names of the past. His name, the Golden Buddha, is no coincidence. It symbolizes his power, his ability to transform into a gigantic golden statue capable of unleashing a shockwave of force on his enemies, but this nickname also has a metaphorical meaning. Unlike Akainu's fanaticism, Sengoku always strived for balance. He was a strategist, not a blind executor. Sengoku realized that the world is more complex than just good and evil, and therefore his decisions were always the result of deep reflection, not enthusiasm. He was the one who had to declare war on Whitebeard at Marineford, knowing that it wouldn't just be a battle, but the end of an entire era. At that moment, we saw that behind his status and outward composure was a weary man, tired of endless struggle and loss. After the war, he realized his time had passed. Sengoku could no longer blindly follow the rules of the hierarchy when the world had changed so much. He handed his position over to Aokiji, a man whose philosophy was similar to his. It was an acknowledgement that new times needed new leaders. Today, Sengoku has retired after Marineford, just like Garp, but they both kept their ranks to remain in the Marine ranks and pass on their experience to new recruits. Aokiji. Kuzan, whom the world has known as Aokiji, is a special figure even among the admirals. He combines power, composure, and that internal freedom that many of his colleagues lacked. His image was based on the legendary Japanese actor Yusaku Matsuda, whose mannerisms and appearance became the foundation for Aokiji's character. In this, you can feel the spirit of cinematic charisma, a man who seems unhurried but is ready to act decisively at any second. Kuzan was never a fanatic of absolute justice and did not resemble an indifferent machine like Kizaru. His path is a search for balance. He was well aware of the value of human life, and therefore his decisions often seem softer and more humane. This is what set him apart from the other admirals, making him not just a soldier of the system, but a man with his own convictions. Today, Aokiji is not just a former admiral, but a former Marine Fleet admiral. His battle with Akainu on Punk Hazard was the reason for his departure. The two admirals clashed not only for the position of Fleet Admiral, but for the very idea of justice. Kuzan lost. But even after the defeat, he remained true to himself. He went his own way, refusing to compromise with what he didn't believe in. Kuzan ate the Hiya Nomi fruit. This Logia-type devil fruit gives him the power to create, control, and transform into ice. It allows Kuzan to freeze vast areas around him. The power of this fruit is truly impressive. Kuzan can instantly freeze water, creating icy paths across the ocean for his bicycle, or turn entire tsunamis into motionless blocks of ice, as he did during the Marineford War. His attacks range from creating ice spears and swords to massive ice attacks capable of freezing opponents into fragile statues. One of his signature techniques is Ice Age, which allows him to cover immense areas with ice in mere seconds. What makes this fruit especially unique is its versatility. Besides combat abilities, it allows Kuzan to circumvent the natural weakness of devil fruit users, the inability to swim. By creating an icy path, he can travel across water without any problems. This fruit allowed Kuzan to change the climate of an entire island, Punk Hazard, turning half of it into an icy desert after his epic 10-day battle with Akainu. He can freeze everything around him, water, land, opponents, but he himself isn't cold. There's no iceberg in his chest, there's kindness. He could have killed Saul, but spared him. He could have killed Robin when she was still a child, but instead, he gave her a chance at life. Kuzan never blindly followed orders, and that's what distinguishes him from the others. And if it's true, then the ice we see on the outside is just a cover. The real flame is within him. Akainu. Sakazuki, better known as Akainu, is a former Marine Admiral. He now holds the position above Admiral, the Fleet Admiral, which was previously held by Sengoku and Aokiji. Akainu is the very will of the system, encased in a human body. His image was created with Bunta Sugawara, and it's no coincidence. A stern face, a heavy gaze, and that same cold fanaticism that sends a chill down the viewer's spine. Akainu is a man for whom justice has no shades. There are only two colors, black and white. Anyone who stands against the government is an enemy, and it doesn't matter if it's a child, a pirate, or a random witness. His philosophy is harsh. If you don't uproot evil, it will sprout again. He said this in Ohara, when he gave the order to destroy the ships with the scholar's children, and there were also regular Marines on board. At that time, Sakazuki was a vice admiral. He believed that in the future, these children could become a threat to the system. For some, this is a monstrous crime. For him, it was a normal consequence of the logic of absolute justice. Sakazuki is the complete opposite of Kuzan. While the latter sought balance and doubted, Akainu knows no doubt. In his world, there is only duty and orders, and that is why he rose so high. After Marineford, where his attacks literally changed the fate of the war, it became clear a man with such a character and power would one day lead the Marines. Otis said that if Akainu went in search of the One Piece, he could reach his goal in just 1 year. Akainu ate the Magu Magu Nomi fruit, which grants him control over magma. This Logia fruit grants its user the ability to create and control magma. This fruit literally makes him a magma human, capable of burning and destroying everything in his path. The power of this fruit is truly destructive. Sakazuki can erupt streams of molten lava, pierce enemies with magma fists, capable of instantly melting steel and flesh. His attacks, such as transforming his hand into a gigantic magma fist, can cause catastrophic destruction, as seen in Marineford when he punched right through Ace. It would seem that a person wielding a power that spews unimaginable heat should be passionate, or at least fiery. But Sakazuki is the complete opposite. In his chest, there is no raging hot volcano of compassion, but rather cold, calculated ice. He didn't hesitate to try to kill Kobe, and ended Ace, demonstrating absolute indifference to human life if it obstructs his ideals. Sakazuki is a chained dog of the world government who will carry out any order, no matter how brutal. The magma he spews burns everything in its path, but he himself seems to be devoid of an inner fire of humanity. Beneath his scorching exterior lies a cold heart, devoid of doubt and mercy. Kizaru. Borsalino, whom the whole world knows as Kizaru, is a Marine Admiral whose appearance always makes even strong pirates tremble. Even before taking the Admiral position, he had built a reputation as a man who executes any order without unnecessary emotion. It's this quality that eventually allowed him to be among the 3 greatest. Like the other admirals, Oda created Kizaru, drawing inspiration from Japanese actors. His prototype is Kunie Tanaka. If you look closely, his slightly narrowed eyes and signature intonations are almost a direct copy of the actor. In Borsalino's character itself, you can feel a strange balance of irony and danger. He can seem relaxed, even slow, but that's just a facade. His difference from other admirals is that he doesn't look for excuses or argue with orders. For him, if there's a mission, it will be accomplished. His very first appearance was on the Sabaudi archipelago. It was there that he single-handedly challenged a whole crowd of pirates, including the supernovas. He wasn't in a hurry, he wasn't fussed, he just methodically demonstrated that in this world, there are some who are a class above. Kizaru style says, "You can run all you want, but light will always catch up." And that's where we get to his true weapon. Everything that makes Kizaru so fearsome is enclosed in the power of his devil fruit. Borsellino ate the Pika Pika no Mi. This Logia grants its user control over light. He can move instantly, fire laser beams, fight at the speed of light, and even materially transform into solar flares through which attacks pass. On paper, a perfect weapon. In practice, well, let's just say the fruit is fast, but its owner isn't. Borsellino is a paradox. His power is absolute speed, but he moves, speaks, and acts as if every morning begins with a 30-minute meditation and a strong cup of tea. While enemies panic, allies bleed, and the ground beneath his feet burns, Kizaru might calmly ask, "Oh, is that you? Pirate, huh?" And only then, lazily raise a finger and unleash a deadly laser as if reluctantly. He is capable of stopping a battle with a single blow, but almost never rushes to do so. The Pika Pika no Mi turns him into a living weapon of mass destruction. He can pierce armor with lasers, explode ships, teleport from one end of the battlefield to the other, and even reflect off mirrored surfaces like real light. But all of this is delivered with Borsellino's signature phlegmatic style, as if he's more of a philosopher than a soldier, compared to Sakazuki, who burns the world with an icy face, and Aokiji, who freezes everything but warms the soul. Kizaru is the golden ray in the center, neither evil nor good. He is a perfect executor of orders, but never shows initiative. Fujitora. He is an admiral unlike the others. His real name is Isho, and unlike other admirals, he didn't join the Marines out of a thirst for power, or to serve higher powers. His path began much darker. He was once a compulsive gambler, a man who lost not only money, but his own life. The gambling and constant stakes ruined him from the inside, and one day he so hated the world he saw around him, the filth, greed, and pain caused by human avarice, that he blinded himself. And here lies the paradox. A blind man receives a power that makes his sight deeper than those who can see with their eyes. His devil fruit is the Zushi Zushi no Mi. With its help, Fujitora controls gravity itself. He can summon meteors from the sky and pin enemies to the ground. His blindness never became a weakness. He senses the world differently, through sounds, pressure, hockey, and the very essence of the space around him. Fujitora's prototype was the Japanese actor Shintaro Katsu, a cinema legend known for his role as the blind swordsman Zatoichi. This is reflected in every moment of the Admiral, in his restraint, dignity, and how he only draws his sword when the truth needs protection. Fujitora doesn't crave power like many other Marines. He himself said that there is no place in his heart for blind obedience. He hated the Warlord of the Sea System and strived for its abolition. He had no pride like the other admirals and apologized for Doflamingo's long years of tyranny to King Riku. He has a good relationship with Vice Admiral Smoker. They are united by a shared contempt for orders from above, and a hatred for the Warlord of the Sea System. At the end of the Dressrosa arc, Fujitora regretted blinding himself, as he wanted to see Luffy's face when he saved Dressrosa. He wanted to know what Luffy looked like, the color of his hair, and everything else. I think people like Fujitora are the ones who should be admirals. Ryokugyu. Ryokugyu, whose real name is Aramaki, is a newcomer to the ranks of the admirals, but his presence is felt like a storm cloud. Unlike battle-hardened veterans like Akainu or Sengoku, he appeared suddenly, as if he grew out of the ground to take one of the highest positions in the Marines. His image was inspired by the Japanese actor Yoshio Harada, and this choice is no coincidence. Like Harada, Aramaki has a special charisma bordering on a certain carelessness, which, however, hides a frightening and ruthless nature. He is a man of contradictions. On the other hand, his fanatical devotion to Akainu's ideals and his contempt for pirates knows no bounds. He is ready to kill without hesitation, and does not consider pirates worthy of respect, believing they should simply be annihilated. His philosophy is something between Akainu's absolute justice and a more complex worldview. Aramaki doesn't so much believe in absolute justice as he believes that the world government is the only and unshakable order, and anyone against it should be wiped off the face of the earth. We don't know yet his past merits that led him to the top of the hierarchy. The Admiral ate the Mori Mori no Mi fruit. This Logia grants control over vegetation. Seems harmless enough. Trees, leaves, greenery, ecology, all that. But in the hands of Admiral Ryokugyu, this fruit turns into a nightmare growing from beneath the earth. He's not a gardener with a watering can, he's a walking apocalypse of roots, vines, and consuming green terror. This fruit allows Aramaki to become nature itself. He can grow through stone, break through fortifications, summon gigantic thorny trees, and drain moisture from all living things. He is capable of absorbing enemies' bodies and processing them as fertilizer, literally. Aramaki admitted to Fujitora in one of the anime episodes, thanks to the Mori Morinomi's abilities, he hadn't eaten a single bite of food for several years. Perhaps the fruit allowed him to sustain himself purely on water, replacing regular food. Zephyr, known as Black Arm. He was a man who believed in his ideals and inspired others, becoming an admiral at a fairly young age. But faith was ruthless to him. His difficult story began with a tragedy. A pirate who hated him killed his wife and son. Hiding his deep pain, Zephyr immersed himself in work and, 3 years later, became a mentor to young Marines, dreaming of raising true heroes from them. His students included those whose names are now known throughout the world: Akainu, Aokiji, Kizaru, and many others. However, misfortune struck again. During a training exercise, the ship was attacked by pirates with devil fruit powers. In that battle, Zephyr was severely wounded and lost his right arm, and only 2 of his students survived the entire squad. In its place, scientists created a massive mechanical prosthetic arm for him called the Battle Smasher, made entirely of sea stone to counter devil fruit users. Zephyr considered this arm incredibly heavy and said it was impossible to remove without a special key. From that moment on, he hated the power of devil fruits and began to rely only on his mastery of hockey. He still remained in the ranks of the Marines, but was already opposing their ideology. The final straw that forced him to leave the organization was when the world government offered the position of Warlord of the Sea to the very pirate who had cut off his arm. Having completely lost faith in the justice of the Marines, Zephyr founded the Neo Marines, which had its own massive army and even its own white-colored pacifista. He set an insane goal for himself, to trigger the Great Reset. He wondered, do pirates exist because the One Piece exists, or does the One Piece exist because pirates exist? His plan was to destroy 3 key islands of the New World: Furs, Sakon, and Periodo. After destroying 2, he was preparing to detonate the 3rd, which was supposed to cause a chain reaction of islands and burn the entire world. He believed that only after all pirates had disappeared from the seas would the world see a beautiful sunrise. In the end, he was stopped by Luffy, who defeated him in battle, and Aokiji helped the Straw Hats escape from the island where the battle took place. This was the end of the Hero of Justice, Z. That's all for today, friends. Don't forget to support the channel with a subscription and a like. I'll be waiting for you all in the next videos.